Very nice video. We are professional. Good. Recording.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, you're doing live?
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful.
जय प्रभुपदा 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 शिल प्रभुपदा विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रसाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामानि नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी आचार्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि
Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasai Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare
Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jai Jai Hare Krishna Mataji. I tried to come.
Today we got
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Puranga. Mukam karani vachalam bandam langate vyakandam vande sigunati patarinam. O Gyanat Mrantasya Gyananjana Shakaya Chakshamiritanya Tasana Shri. I'd like to welcome you to the second day of our seminar on prayers of blood and rush. And yesterday we did verses 8 to 21, and today we're going to do 22 to 36. And somehow or other, when we reprinted the verses today, today's verse was not on the sheet. So therefore it's up here. I don't know how it happened, but it was there on yesterday's. If you 7/9/28.
But it's not the verse.
Okay, so look at your devices. When we come to the verse, get your phone and find it. If you have yesterday's paper, it is on that page, but on today's, it's not there. Somehow or other, it got missing. Okay, so don't look at this one. And today's paper is not there also. Somehow these, in IT, sometimes these things happen. Oh yeah, it's what time actually? Oh yeah. We're going to start with verse 22. Yeah, yes, it may come up here. Yes, missing verses. Okay, yesterday we heard, you can check here on your outline, your flip chart outline, and we can go over what we did yesterday. We started, Prahlad started his prayers with humility, and that's the way to advance in Krishna consciousness. You start with humility. And then verses 9 to 12, why is Prahlad confident that Nrsimhadev will hear his prayers? And why we should be confident that the Lord will hear our prayers also. 4 reasons that he's not impressed with our material things, our beauty, our intelligence, and our opulence. He's impressed by our devotion. And then in verse 10, we discuss how the dog-eater Vaishnava is better than the non-devotee Brahmana. So we may be born in village families, not in the Varnashram at all, but that doesn't matter because Krishna doesn't care about that. That will not take you back to Godhead. Following Varnashram will not take you back unless it's connected to Krishna. If it's connected, okay, you're good. Otherwise, no. And then verse 11, Krishna doesn't need anything, but he wants our love. And verse 12, he's confident because chanting and hearing is strong enough. It's strong enough to help us get purified. 13 and 14, he was trying to pacify Nrsimhadev. You know, you're angry, but the purpose you came here is to save the devotees. But your devotees, demigods, are afraid now. So that's why you should give up your anger, because they're afraid of your anger now. The first reason, and 14 was about pacification, that, even if scorpions and snakes are killed, even saintly persons are happy, and Hiranyakashipu was worse than a snake. He was because you cannot control human beings who are like snakes. Then he said he's fearless of Nrsimhadev, his strong features, but he is afraid of Maya and association with the demons. We heard about remedies and how they don't work unless you're connected to Krishna. If Krishna says no, then you will not get cured. Krishna says yes, you will get cured. And why we should surrender, we heard 2 reasons yesterday, that Krishna is everything and he's everywhere. We can see him everywhere. And also, the second reason is that our mind, we are in the prison of our mind, and unless we surrender to Krishna, we cannot get out of this prison. He has the key. Prabhupada has the key. To open up our prison and take us back to Godhead. Today we're going to start with verse 22. You don't have these verses except for 28, which is coming soon. Okay, so verse 22, I just summarized that Prahlad is saying that, these material elements are under your control. Time element is your representation. Perhaps you didn't know, but the supercell is the Lord in the heart. According to the purport in Prayers of Queen Kunti, time is the external representation of the supersoul, the witness. Time knows everything, and time is in control, except of course for the devotees. We are free from time, as long as we are chanting and engaged in postal service. But Prahlad said, "But, so no one can conquer you, but I am being crushed by the wheel of time. Therefore, I surrender." So that's another reason to surrender. If you feel like you're being crushed by the wheel of time. Yes, I do feel that way, because old age is creeping up on me, slowly, and it is Krishna's representation as time. But as a devotee, it's not so bad. I have somebody who is younger than me, a relative. She's 72 and she's already in hospice. And here I am running around the world doing something. But it's only the mercy of Krishna and Lord Vishnudev that I can be here with you today. Okay, so now verse 23, which you don't have, talks about, Prahlad says that, the demigods were very afraid of my father. If he was angry and laughed, the demigods would be trembling, and even with his eyebrows. But he has been vanquished by you within a moment. So yes, I have experience of time. Prabhupada says, we all have experience every day. We see big leaders, ministers, but their position, in 1 minute, it can become finished. And there's one famous actor, which some of you may know. I think he was in our time. Arnold Schwarzenegger is his name. And he was very famous. I think he was Mr. Universe. He had everything, and he was also governor of California. And there was a hotel that he said he could stay anytime, free and everything. But after he lost his position as governor, the same hotel said, no, you can't stay free anymore. So and there was even a statue of him on the road. There is, So he made a statement. He went with his sleeping bag and slept underneath his statue that night, showing that, what's the use of being in this world. Time takes everything away. There was a famous actress who got cancer, and she was writing about, she was in the hospital in her last days, and she was writing, she said, I was so beautiful, but now I don't even have any hair. I used to eat in the best restaurants, but now I'm just having salt water to eat. I had the most expensive car, and now I'm just in a wheelchair from one room to the other. And I had the best clothes from all the top fashion, and now I'm just in this gown, this horrible gown. And I used to have the most expensive houses. Now I'm just in this hospital bed. And she said, so it's really, you lose it all. You can't take it with you. It's just all finished. It's just, what's the use? So I experienced this, how everything can be finished in a second. Well, because I was preaching in New Zealand, they had, in the earthquake zone. And Christchurch, I wasn't there, but I saw the video where within 45 seconds, the whole city crashed. The whole city of Christchurch. The temple also was, temple also was finished. The pujari was there, it was noon arti, and the whole altar jumped. And the pujari was holding the marble deities, Kapurnitai, and the deities were all in pieces. Pujari was okay. And they got their deities. I think the deities saved the pujari at that point. But I was there too. And there's tremors all the time. So, one time it was 2:30 in the morning. I woke up. If I woke up early, I was chanting in my bed. And all of a sudden, something hit, like a big, huge, loud sound. And I got scared. I said, oh my God, it's an earthquake. My first thought was, my computer's going to fall on the floor. Then I remembered, no, I better chant. I better keep chanting. I was too scared to go save my computer. But, and another time, it was 9:30, I just went to bed, and then I heard the kids running, the 4 kids they have, they were running across the floor above me. Then all of a sudden, the whole house started swaying back and forth. I said, "Oh, it's not the kids." And then it was a tremor. It was like a little small earthquake. And then I went out, and everybody was on their computer. Phones weren't so advanced. Thank you. Phones weren't so advanced in those days. It was maybe 10, 15 years ago. Now everything's on the phone, but that time you had to go to the computer. And so they were all playing a game like, okay, what number is it on the Richter scale? And so that's what people in the earthquake zone do. They play games. who got the right one? But you really got a feeling how it was temporary. We were walking on the beach. There was a lady walking her dog, and she said, "Yeah, and she said, well, 'cause she was homeless. She was living on the beach. She said, "Well, I have an apartment and I have to pay the rent, but it's in the red zone, so I can't live there because it's not it's earthquake prone." So she had to pay the rent and live on the beach. So everything, and then another thing was we were driving, and we had to rebuild the whole city. There were kind of roads, but kind of dirt roads, and there were speed limits. And every speed limit, it said 30, temporary, 40, temporary. Like, you really got the idea. Everything's temporary over there. You never know when things are going to finish. So that's how it is. We're all in that same situation. And just like, I was just talking to Malati today before class, and we were talking about cancer. My in-law was in remission, and Malati said we're all in remission over here. That we can go at any time. And so that's a fact, that it's really temporary. And that's why we should surrender to Krishna. Another reason Prahlad's telling us. This is verse 24. You can follow on your sheet. Conclusion is, how to surrender. Become servant of the servant. As Prahlad says, I have experience concerning the worldly opulence, mystic power, longevity, material pleasures. As powerful time, you destroy them all. So because of my experience, I don't want them. Just place me in touch with your pure devotee and let me serve him as a sincere servant. So that is the conclusion of why we should surrender. And then we will also hear, I just have one question that my realization is, and from reading Bhagavad Gita also, the purports, that Prabhupada is more merciful than Krishna. And some purports, Krishna will say, okay, you have to be this, this, and this, otherwise you can't do devotional service. Or don't teach the non-devotees, don't teach someone who's not austere or devoted. And Prabhupada in the purport, he says, well, we have open class because where are the devotees going to come from anyway, if we don't open it up to everyone. And so I'm going to throw this question out. How is Prabhupada more merciful than Krishna? Or why would you say that? Why would you say that Prabhupada is more merciful than Krishna? Yes.
This is Nityananda Vesh.
Nityananda Vesh. Okay, got a microphone here.
Srila Prabhupada is Nityananda Vesh. He's
Yes.
manifesting the energy
Completely.
of Nityananda.
In the mood of Nityananda. And there are so many stories I could tell, but I don't think there's time. Did anybody else have their hand up for that? Yes.
Srila said once that, I know the back door.
In the back door, yeah. He has the key to the back door in case we can't make it in the front door. Yeah, and I talked about that last time I was here, that if we are only 75% advanced on the path, Prabhupada will make up for the rest. He will take us back. So try for that. And that is the level of nishtha, firm faith and steadiness in your devotional service. Verse 25, another reason why to surrender. In this material world, every living entity desires some future happiness, which is like a mirage in the desert. Where is water in the desert? Or in other words, where is happiness in this material world? As for this body, what's its value? It's a source of various diseases. The so-called philosophers, scientists, and politicians know this very well, but nonetheless, they aspire for temporary happiness. Happiness is very difficult to obtain, but because they are unable to control their senses, they run after the so-called happiness of the material world, never come to the right conclusion. So, did you ever see a mirage over here? Does it get hot enough in Vrindaban to see mirages? Oh, no, okay. So in case you don't know, does somebody not know what is a mirage? Anyway, it's, when you're in a hot place, there's a cross when you're going down the road. It looks like there's some water on the road. But the closer you get to it, the further the water goes. You never really get to it. So that's like happiness in this material world. The closer you try to get to it, the further it goes. Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked in Mahabharata many questions. And one of the questions, well, first, the one that's most famous is, what is the most wonderful thing? But here's another question you may not know was asked of him. What is the news? And Yudhishthira told us what is the news, and it's the same today as it was 5,000 years ago. If you want to know the news, and it will be confirmed if you look at the news also, that we are all in a big frying pan and we're being fried. This universe is like a huge frying pan, and we are in that pan, and we are being fried. Some of us are well done, some of us are really fried. And and the cook is time, and the sun is the fuel. The sun is the fuel. Days and nights are the fuel, and we are being cooked by time. So very difficult to be happy here, but if we surrender, then we can actually be happy. So verse 26, we're following this chart. We will have causeless mercy if we surrender. We heard all the different reasons why we should, negative reasons why we should surrender. No happiness here. Upon another positive, Krishna is everything. Hope our mind is entangling us. We're being crushed by time. Everything's temporary. No happiness. So therefore, we should surrender to Krishna. All these are good reasons. Now, the best reason, verse 26, is we will get causeless mercy if we surrender to Krishna. Can anybody tell me what does causeless mean for us? Causeless mercy. What does it mean if it is? You have your hand up? Okay, you got the mic, great.
Undeserving?
Yeah, you don't deserve it. Very good. No reason for it. There's no reason for the mercy, but it's coming. Well, that's causeless mercy. If you go to Mayapur, then you can experience that. And Prahlad says, I was born in a family full of hellish material qualities. But what is my position? What is to be said of your causeless mercy? Which was never offered even to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, or the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. You never put your lotus hand on their heads, but you have put it upon mine. So that's what he got that they didn't get. And if you live in Vrindaban, everybody knows there is a temple of Lakshmi across the Jamuna River from Vrindaban. And she's sitting in the lotus position, and she is doing austerities to try to get on the other side and join the rasa dance. But so far, she hasn't made it. And every Magh Mela in the winter, the Brijvasis go and bring her khichdi, because that's what she eats during her austerities. And they give her blessings that she can come to the other side. So more fortunate than Lakshmi. It costs us mercy, and that's what Prahlad is explaining here. So verse 27, what determines how much mercy do we get? So Prahlad says that, my Lord, you don't discriminate between friends and enemies, favorable and unfavorable, because for you there's no conception of higher and lower. But you give your benedictions according to the level of one's service, just as a desire tree gives fruits according to one's desires and makes no distinction between lower and higher. So Sri Prabhupada said, if you become higher when you become a devotee, actually. That's the highest position, to become a Vaishnava. And how do we please Krishna? Or how do we get our desires fulfilled? If we surrender them, we will get everything. And Sevana Rupa is the word here in Sanskrit. Prabhupada said that is the secret. If you're engaged 10% in service, you will get in proportion to your service. Of course, he couldn't repay the gopis. He couldn't give them back how much they gave, so he had to become Lord Chaitanya. And then he repaid them. Now, verse 28, we do have here on the board, or you can look in your phones. We do have it. Thank you for giving us that verse today. I'm sorry. Somehow the other, it didn't work to get it on our papers. So verse 28 is a very, very wonderful verse, and Prabhupada does quote it. He does quote it many times. So we will sing the verse, and then I will read the translation. Evam janani patitam prabhava bhikkhu te. Evam janani patitam prabhava bhikkhu te. Kama ikamam anya paparam prasanga. Kama ikamam anya paparam prasanga. Kritva masat sarashina bhagavan grihita. Sarashina bhagavan grihita. So ham katana visije tavapre esevam. So ham visije tavapre esevam. Oh, my dear Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How can I leave his service? So Prabhupada comments on this, that we need to get knowledge through the Parampara. But Prahlad, he's a Shakti-Vesh avatar, Prabhupada comments in his lecture on this verse. But he says, he doesn't say, oh, my dear Lord Nrsimhadev, I'm so competent now, give me your service. What can I do for you? He says, no, how can I serve my Guru? That was his request. Narada saved me. Narada saved me. My first duty is to serve him. That is my first duty. So, yeah, and first, before that, he says, I have these kala sarpas. These senses are like snakes. They're like, they can take you away at any time, especially if you're in front of your cell phone. They can take you away without your knowing it. Just like chanting japa, your mind can go anywhere. If you touch your cell phone, your mind can go anywhere, so watch out. This is a kala sarpa. I guess you would say this is the eyes. But the mind is also there too. And so these are our snakes, but by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, we have broken the fangs of the snakes, so they cannot bite us anymore. And we have to follow Lord Chaitanya, that's very important. And so Prahlad was thinking, I'm the servant of Narada. So when Narada wanted to give him benediction, he said, just let me be the servant of your servant. I want to serve. Prabhupada in his lecture says, my dear Vaishnava, please accept me as your dog. Your dog. So the dog is obedient, he just follows the orders. Prabhupada said, this lesson we have to learn from the dog. Even though he would always condemn the dog so many times, but he said, no, the dog has a good quality that he's faithful to the master. So I can give you an example of somebody who was depending on Prabhupada. She came to Vrindaban long ago to leave her body. She had MS, multiple sclerosis, and it took 20 years. to leave her body. And she was, most of the time, she was bedridden. But she would try her best to chant. Sometimes she couldn't even lift her hand and put it in the bead bag. She would try to chant, she would try to hear. She did have a computer, and she could listen to classes. And because she was very faithful to Srila Prabhupada, and she was trying her best, even though she couldn't chant always her rounds, she had vision of Prabhupada just before she left her body. It wasn't a dream, it was actual vision. And she was walking, and Prabhupada was walking next to her, and they were on the path going back to Godhead. So, on both sides of the path, there were people criticizing her. She didn't chant her 16 rounds every day. She didn't go to the temple every day. She didn't do this, she didn't do that. And then what happened next was Prabhupada turned to those people and said, "It's okay, she's with me." So, that's our hope. That's our hope. Stay with Prabhupada. Don't leave Prabhupada. Don't leave this movement, but stay with Srila Prabhupada. And he will take you back to Godhead. Okay, so now I have another question for you. Why is it better to be servant of the servant than to serve Krishna directly? Why is it better? Who can tell me? Yes, over there. What's the advantage of being servant of the servant?
Because we are not qualified to serve Lord Krishna.
Yeah, so the advantage is, even if we're not qualified, if we serve the servant, then he'll take our service and give it to Krishna.
Yes.
Just like in Alachua, okay, you'll be next. In Alachua, they announce every morning who dressed the deities and how they say it. These are the devotees who have assisted their spiritual master in dressing the deities today. And then they give the names. So everything is Prabhupada's. Prabhupada has to do it. And Prabhupada has to do it, but we're helping him. We're helping him in his service and the service of our groups. Okay, there's a question over here. Or a comment, not a question. This is comment time. Comment time.
So, with regards to the question you asked, I think the other reason is that Lord will always listen to his servant. So if you approach directly, he may not listen to you, but if a servant requests mercy for you, he will
Yes.
listen to you. So.
Yes, if the servant requests mercy, then you'll get it. Yeah. Just like on Radhashtami, Srila Prabhupada said that you put the flower in the hand of Radharani and ask her to give it to Krishna. And then surely Krishna will get it. Okay, any other reasons why? Why is it better to be servant of the servant? And if you don't have reasons, I can give you some. Devotees more merciful, we heard about that recently, a few verses ago. Devotees more merciful. Another reason is humility is helpful. If you're a servant of the servant, then you're in the humble position, and that's where you get the mercy, when you're in the humble position. Mercy flows down. And then another reason is the parampara system. We're following, then you get mercy not only of your Guru, Srila Prabhupada, so many, all the way up to Krishna. And we will hear another reason in the next verse, verse 29. Any other reasons? Yes, we have one more here. Why we should be servant of the servant. Why it's better.
Other people are more approachable. Other people are more approachable than maybe going to Krishna directly.
Other people are more approachable.
Like other devotees or your spiritual master is more approachable.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's easier to approach other devotees than Krishna himself. Yeah, that's true. Not so easy to approach Krishna. Difficult for us. Okay, so we'll move on to verse 29. Prahlad says, now, well, first of all, he says that you have killed my father Hiranyakashipu and saved me from his sword. He had said very angrily, if there's any supreme controller other than me, let him save you. I'll now sever your head from your body. So listen to this part. Therefore, I think, both in saving me and in killing him, you have acted just to prove true the words of your devotee. There is no other cause. So another reason why it's better to be servant of the servant is because if a servant says something, Krishna must fulfill it. Krishna, he promises a lot of things, but he did break his promise to fulfill the promise of Bhishma Dev in the Battle of Kurukshetra. So, yes, this is another reason. And now, but I do have a question for you about this verse. Prahlad says, you have kept true the words of your devotees. So there were two devotees that promised something before Hiranyakashipu was killed. One devotee promised that he will be saved. And so another devotee gave many promises also. But somehow Hiranyakashipu was still killed. So who can tell me one of those devotees or both of them? Which two devotees gave some words and then Nrsimhadev kept those words true? And killing Hiranyakashipu, he kept the words. Oh, you got it here, over there.
Lord Brahma also gave a promise.
Yes, Brahma promised. You won't be killed day or night. It was at twilight, in between day and night. Not on the land, not on the sea, not in the air, it was on the lap. Not by any weapon, it was the nails. And not by any human or any demigod or animal, it was half human and half. So he kept the promise of Lord Brahma. Now there's one more devotee whose promise. Narada, very good, yes. He kept the promise of Narada. Narada promised Prahlad's mother that Prahlad will be saved. He will be protected. And so he kept those words true. Now, Srila Prabhupada, in his lecture, he said, even if a devotee says something wrong, Krishna has to fulfill that desire. He may say something, and I can give an example of Srila Prabhupada saying something that's quite unbelievable. In the first Rath Yatra, 1967, were you there, Malachi? In the first Rath Yatra in San Francisco. Now, I heard that somebody who was there said he heard Prabhupada say this. I don't know if you heard it. But there were some hippies and there were Oh, he wasn't personally there. Oh, maybe it was the second Rath Yatra then, because he was there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so then it wasn't the first, it was the second Rath Yatra. It was the second Rath Yatra. I don't know if you were there in the second one, 68. You were in UK, okay. Yeah, right, you were there. Yeah, there's one, the first one was in 67. He was not there. Okay. Anyway, some Rath Yatra was there in San Francisco. And so after the Rath Yatra, the devotees were sitting, and there were some hippies who had helped the devotees also, and everybody was sitting there after the Rath Yatra. And Prabhupada looked at everyone and he said, so whoever has helped in this Rath Yatra, including the hippies and the devotees, they will go back to Godhead in this life. That's okay, yeah. So, which Rath Yatra, I don't know. So, yes, this is another example is in India, in Juhu, Bombay. There was one man, Mr. Sethi. So when we arrived in Juhu, Bombay, there was a huge culture shock for us. The first day we were in the prasadam room, which was not really a room, it was a hut, a bamboo hut. And there were these huge rats running across the rafters. And I was looking up with the rat and looking at my plate, and I was thinking, hope he doesn't fall on my plate. This was my culture shock coming to India. Huh? Yeah, pooping too, yeah. Hope he doesn't poop in my plate. Well, he fell in someone else's plate. I was kind of happy, but maybe I shouldn't have been. So anyways, very austere conditions. Ladies' ashram was up on the roof of a building, and it was summer, and when I arrived. And